Mr. Bowden, if you could, for a minute, just kind of expand a little bit on your business profile. I found it pretty interesting, and I think for the record, it might be helpful if you would expand on what you do, which way you do it.
Well, we were founded in 1995, and obviously there wasn't any shopping going on in 1995, so we started the company focused on the demand side of the meter. We have a lot of former utility folks on our staff. At one time, On-Demand Energy was even acquired by a local utility to build out a system, and then the company was purchased back. So we have a lot of expertise in demand-side green efficiency projects. And in 1997, when Duquesne Light opened up, and then 1999, we received our license, our focus has been more on providing procurement services. I mean, it's quite interesting. Whoever put the panel together was brilliant, because there's a common thread throughout a number of things that were said here. And I would say the small business owners not knowing who to trust, getting inundated with telemarketing calls, not having someone on staff that can understand block and index strategies, which we offer for small and medium businesses from fixed prices. So our business model today really is working with affinity partners, chambers of commerce primarily. There's 100 chambers that we work with in the state. All of these membership-based organizations, where they're dependent on membership dues, they're going to do their due diligence to roll out solutions. They're going to vet the consultant or the supplier. So I think the model that we're doing, and it's similar to what GDF, Suez was saying, working with chambers, similar to what Mr. Smith said, the most helpful thing was attending a seminar from the local chamber. That's the model we're working at, is really to take the time to educate businesses, and that's our focus today. But our roots started on the demand side of the meter. Today, we exclusively are an independent consultant working with membership-based organizations.
And you're on the demand on the customer side of it?
Yeah, today we're 99% of our activity is helping people select a supplier. So we have relationships right now with 22 suppliers. I never would have guessed 24 months ago that in helping the small and medium business community, that today we would have placed businesses with 17 different suppliers. There's so many different options, so many different terms. The contract language is different. The products are complex. The complexity, quite frankly, helps a consultant like us exist. We have a lot of job security right now as the complexity of products come to market. There's more and more choices. But that's exclusively what we're doing today, is help small and medium businesses and large businesses safely choose a third-party supplier.
Thank you. I'd like to also go back to Commissioner Whitmer's question to Mr. Smith, and I'm going to place it to you because you actually did mention that recently you're seeing a much more uglier side of retail marketing. Could you talk a little bit more about the switching and slamming issues and the kinds of things, examples of what you're seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, we really didn't see examples of true slamming until really the last few months. We had small and medium businesses placed with a particular third-party supplier. The only reason we found out about it is a utility switch had occurred. They showed up on a drop report of the supplier. And there was a common thread, and we talked to roughly 50 small businesses around this issue in the last 4 weeks. The common thread was they received a telemarketing call saying, very pushy, needed to put them into a program, told them not to worry if they're already in a contract. In some cases, they were able to acquire the account number from the consumer. In some cases, they did not. And without signing anything, without agreeing to anything, they were switched to another third-party supplier. Now, we were able to, in almost all cases, go back and work with the small and medium business and get them back into the contract they were originally with. And really, I think a number of them have expressed that they would be filing formal complaints to the Public Utility Commission. At this point, I was briefed on it this morning. I'm not sure if any have yet. I suspect a few have. But I think you'll probably see a lot more of it in the coming weeks of people filing that they were actually switched out of a contract without their knowledge. So it does concern us greatly. I mean, as you said, it's the other side. We've heard that it's happened in other states as things got competitive, and so it does give us concern.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on Commissioner Gardner's questions, Mr. Bodine, we're all sitting here wondering who, because we deal very harshly with EGS as a step out of line. They tend to poison the well for everyone. Do you know if this was an EGS, any one EGS, or was this a broker on the shifting customers to any one EGS?
The EGS is more and more, as the young lady from GDF Sue has said, are employing telemarketing calls to go out. So in some of these calls, you don't really know if it's a separate telemarketing firm promoting a particular EGS, or was it the EGS employing that telemarketing specifically to market it. But of the 44 to 50, I can't remember the exact precise number of small businesses that this has happened to, it appears to be 98% of them, one particular EGS. Now again, if the telemarketer worked for the EGS or was an outside telemarketing firm promoting a particular EGS, I don't know the answer to that question. We haven't completed our investigation. I wish I had legal counsel here to say whether I should say who the EGS was or not. But I feared it's not in my comments when I started on this subject that this could come up. But as of right now, it does appear to be one EGS. We haven't completed our research. It does seem to be an EGS with similar stories in other states that we fear may have just recently come into Pennsylvania.
Well, you don't have to mention their name, but we'd like to know off record. If I were that EGS, I would plan on being on our Christmas list very long in Pennsylvania.
Question for Mr. Bodine. It seems that much of the decision is economic or financial for companies in terms of switching decisions. I'm curious in your guaranteed savings program, if it is maybe it's proprietary, you don't wish to share this morning. I'm just kind of curious of what kind of a guarantee is being offered to those customers in terms of savings.
Sure. Yeah. It's no secret. You know, it's out there. It's not our product per se. So we're a consultant that a particular supplier developed for the chamber members that belong to a group of chamber choice chambers throughout Pennsylvania. 35 chambers. So the original version started when the Penelec rate cap came off January 2011. It's expiring May of 2012. We've offered a renewal, and the discount, I believe, was 2 to 14%. So for 2011, it averaged 10.5%. So as you looked at the PTCs in Penelec, they changed from I think 7.2 to 8.4 in that range, kind of throughout 2011. If you took the percentage off by where the PTCs were, it averaged for the year 10.5%. In hindsight, it was a great deal. And certainly when you go into signing a fixed price contract or a variable discount or a block index, only after the fact can you look back and say, you know, how did we do? And all the small businesses did well. It really did well if you consider how many small business owners selected it because it was a guaranteed savings. To the degree that it's encouraging switching, that value would be harder to measure. We certainly can measure the percent off. Back to your previous question, Vice Chairman Coleman, on school districts. We also have, it's 9 or 10 intermediate units that have hired us to build energy programs, mostly on the western side of the state. So to address the question of how many are switching, from our experience, we have 101 school districts that we've helped switch. Not all of the school districts in those intermediates use the consulting services provided by the intermediate unit and went and did different things, but I don't know of any school district in those 10 intermediates that did not switch and make a choice to switch. So I think it's pretty pervasive, at least from the experience we've had with the K-12 market, that probably the vast majority have switched.
The question is, don't you think we have a much more robust model if we made reforms to our current default supply model, as you know? So anybody want to take that question? Because I think it's the 800-pound gorilla in the room this afternoon that we want to get to. So, John, do you have any comments there?
Well,
If you have any buyers and sellers of product, I think it would be a much more robust competitive market for customers. But that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what I talked about in the beginning there. Analogy I would use is someone just started getting into the stock market, never had invested in it, and the stock market collapses. They're like, I'm never going to invest in the stock market again. To the degree that default rates are not truly reflective of entirely just the market. You have these over-under collections, it's hard to know who's going to switch, who's not. And the timing of it for a small business owner, and it's happening in PPL right now. I mean, the rates last summer were 13 some cents or 6.2. That kind of volatility is crazy, but for small business owners to come out and look and say, hey, well, the utility rate is 6.2. I made a bad deal. I signed at 8 cents. I'm just going to go back to the utility and never want to switch again. To the degree that an artificial or default rate isn't truly reflective of where the market is, to the degree that it would dissuade business owners in the future and get gun shy of switching, I think that would be bad. So I don't know what the answer is, but I think a 90-day default rate that can fluctuate that much in the long run won't do the market good.
I again want to thank you all on behalf of my colleagues. Excellent testimony here this morning. One last point I'll make, and I look to my friends in the school district. You are a very active lobby here in the state. I want to commend you for embracing what we're doing here in Pennsylvania with competitive electricity markets. But I want you to look ahead. We'll be calling on you because there's an old scenario that might unfold here. You need 102, 26 in one, and there's a very powerful statement in your testimony about the cost savings that you're experiencing under the current paradigm. And if we make it better, I can only imagine your legislator or your senator not wanting to embrace those changes. So thank you for being here. I appreciate your testimony.